Here we go with today's video. Today we are reacting to Dom2K's video to the top 7 NBA MVP candidates so far. Who's leading by Dom2K. This was posted when I'm recording this 3 days ago, so when you're seeing it 4 days ago, by Dom2K. I suggest you go check out Dom2K's channel because he does make a lot of cool NBA content videos. So let's get into it real quick. Before we do though, subscribe, like, all that stuff. But let's get the headset on, boys. Let me know who you guys think are winning every single award this year. I've got Joel Embiid for MVP, LaMelo Ball Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year Jordan Clarkson, Most Improved Jaylen Brown, DPOY Ben Simmons, and I've also got, I haven't decided on Coach of the Year. I'm leaning towards Quinn Snyder, but I've also put Doc Rivers up there, so I'm not sure about the Coach of the Year yet. Let me know what your opinions are, who you think are winning every single award so far. But yeah, let me know down in the comments of any player that you think is winning each award, every single player of every single award. Let me know, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, like, subscribe, all that stuff. But let's get into it, boys. Let's press play. Let's do this.
Most teams right now are roughly 30 games into the season, which means pretty shortly we'll be approaching the halfway mark. That also means there's still tons of basketball left to be played, and the MVP race is entirely unclear up to this point. However, what is clear, other than the fact that I cursed Luka Doncic, is that there's more than a few legitimate candidates, and in today's video, we'll aim to dissect exactly what's in their case thus far. In no particular order, by the way. LeBron James.
Easy.
As the great prophet Mark Phillips once exclaimed, he's 36. However, it's unfair to boil his entire case down to age, because he's carrying a lot more than that. With his current averages of 26 points, 8 assists.
Well, currently with the Lakers run without AD, because the AD is going to be out for 3-4 more weeks, depending on to see how the Lakers go, might lean in LeBron James's favor.
And 8 rebounds on 50% from the field and 38% from 3, which is his highest mark since Miami. He's quite easily the best 36-year-old NBA player ever, and still the best player in today's NBA. The Lakers.
When did MJ retire? Alright, yeah, MJ didn't play when he was 36. Alright, yeah, fair call, fair call.
Lakers are relaxing near the top of the Western Conference on their journey to title defense with a record of 22-7, and this comes with a surprising reduction in Anthony Davis's output. Not only has he not been quite as dominant as usual when he's on the floor, he's now also off of it for maybe the next month or so. LeBron has already got the stats, record, and narrative to rake in his 5th MVP, and with a large question mark now occupying the space where AD used to be, if the Lakers continue on even a similar pace without him, there's no doubt LeBron's MVP stock will rise, with a great chance of it separating him from a field that's currently pretty crowded. Stephen Curry, the former Golden Boy. He is absolutely shattering expectations, as has become a common theme throughout his career. And
what can I say? I love Stephen Curry. I love his game. He's absolutely amazing. I love everything about Steph Curry.
And he's put his early season detractors on mute. After losing KD, Clay, and the supporting cast that once lifted Golden State to glory, people swore this was the year he'd be exposed, that he simply would not be able to produce even nearly the same with the teams finally being able to lock in on him. Curry has responded by posting a line fairly close to his unanimous MVP year, and the Warriors are currently a fringe playoff team in the West because of it, with a record that would actually place them 4th in the Eastern Conference. This comes as James Wiseman misses time, Draymond Green joined the season late, and the task being to make it work with both young and average players. Curry is basically doing 50-40-90 with 30 points a game despite having to be really crafty to get his shots off. No Klay Thompson gravity, constant double teams, and he's possibly playing the most impressive basketball of his career. The one roadblock to Curry picking up what would be his 3rd MVP trophy is obviously the record. It seems like most people understand that it is in no way the norm for guys to win the way Russell Westbrook did 4 years ago when he had to break a sacred record while carrying a lottery projected team to do so. Curry putting up his former MVP numbers in the play-in range on the bracket won't get him there, but if he's able to kick it up to around the 4th seed, this race will become excruciatingly difficult.
Yeah, if the Warriors, the only thing that will be held against Steph Curry is their record, where they finish in the NBA. So if they finish top 4 seed, I'll probably put Steph Curry in that top 5 for MVP voting. But either way, you still have your LeBron Jameses, your Joel Embiid, your Kevin Durant's up there.
Good to choose from. The process
your Giannis Antetokounmpo's
is possibly reaching its final stages, with Joel Embiid persevering through many early health problems to become a leading MVP candidate. Philly has held the best record in the Eastern Conference for most of the season, and Embiid is putting up a 30-point double-double on 54% shooting and 40% from 3 as a big man. While his case is fairly straightforward, he's got a potentially serious problem in a race that may finish tight: load management. He's currently missed 6 games, and it appears he's going to regularly miss time throughout the season to prevent overuse, or as the Sixers constantly list, list, rest is back. If a team has another candidate that finishes with a similar record to the Sixers, while said player barely missed any games at all, that may become the deciding factor. He is yet to play over 64 games in a season throughout his career, and given that there's 10 less games than normal in 2021, he's very much on pace to continue that trend. His case is strong, but may become lighter as the season drags on. Jokic is another name that's been...
I do agree with that to an extent. Alright, if, say, Joel Embiid plays, this is a 72-game season. If Joel Embiid plays, they said 64 games he hasn't played over. So if he plays 64 games, or 65, 66 games, that means I think he's actually missed more than that already. But if he manages to play 62 games, he's missed, 10 games of the season? It's possible that Joel Embiid just comes out and can win MVP. Because if you miss 10 games, it's 10 games. If you miss more than 10, it's kind of iffy, but it's 10 games.
Featured near the top 4 most of the season, despite his team's current 15-12 record. However, he's also arguably been the best offensive player in the league, and the Nuggets have seen their own fair share of hardship with guys in and out of the lineup. At this point, people are wondering what's separating his situation from Curry's, and it's probably the fact that he's averaging nearly a 27-point triple-double on 50% from the field and 39% from 3. It's also the shock and awe of a center running his team's offense like a guard, making him likely the only big man in the league you could ask that of. Still, when it comes time to officially vote, yes, a 7th-seeded Nuggets team simply would not be able to cut it in this race, and it's beginning to look like the best they'll be able to do is a 4th place finish. That being said, he does an incredible amount for this Nuggets team, and like the Warriors, they simply would not be anything close to competitive without the production coming from their best player. Kawhi Leonard is getting relatively no MVP buzz compared to his production this season, and it's likely because of the epic meltdown the Clippers suffered in last year's playoffs. AKA, they still owe us a playoff series against the Lakers, and nobody cares how good they are in the regular season anymore. That being said, he is putting up 27, 6, 5, 2 steals, and shooting 51% overall with 39% from 3. Of course, you're getting your regular dose of Kawhi defense as well. The Clippers are also right there with the Lakers fighting at the top of the West at a 21-8 record. And, like LeBron, Kawhi has also lost his second best player for an unknown amount of time. Before the Paul George toe issue, he'd likely been playing the best basketball of his career and would have certainly cut into Kawhi's MVP case. But again, like the Lakers, depending on how long that co-star is gone and how they do it.
It also depends on how many games Kawhi wants to play this year, because if PG's back, then Kawhi can actually rest his body a bit, if you know what I'm saying. Load management things.
Without him, it could provide that needed boost to separate himself from the pack. There's many factors that need to be played out to determine who would finish higher out of he and LeBron, but they have very similar opportunities. Kevin Durant obviously had more in his case.
So, I had Kevin Durant as my MVP favorite for the first month of the NBA. I had him as my MVP favorite. And then there was this one game, I think the Sixers were versing Brooklyn, I think it was. It might have been the Clippers or Brooklyn. KD wasn't playing if it was Brooklyn, I remember that. I'm pretty sure it was against the Brooklyn Nets, and Joel Embiid just went... No, it was against the Raptors. It was against the Raptors, excuse me. And Joel Embiid had, I think, 37 points that game and just didn't miss. But from then, I could see that the Philadelphia 76ers relied so much more on Joel Embiid than the Nets do on Kevin Durant, if that makes sense. So, I still have Kevin Durant in my top 5 for MVP. I just think Joel Embiid is more important for the Philadelphia 76ers than Kevin Durant is for the Brooklyn Nets, if that makes sense.
At the beginning of the season, but at the current point in time, he's really fighting an uphill battle to make it all happen. Before James Harden, KD...
Also, KD's been out for like a week and a half now, so he's missed the last 4 or 5 games. That doesn't exactly go well in the MVP voting.
Was having the most incredible comeback from an Achilles injury the league has ever seen. He was even receiving a possible boost by the random disappearance of Kyrie Irving. Now, not only is he one piece of the most offensively talented big three the league has ever known, he keeps getting nicked random games due to smaller injuries and COVID protocols. He's only appeared in 19 of the 30 games the Nets have played. The comeback narrative is great, but the big three narrative may be stronger. It'd be extremely difficult to imagine him winning it with 2 other star players in their primes flanking him, especially when other teams couldn't afford to miss their star player for a single game. He's up for consideration, but by the time the season is over, unless he keeps up best player in the league pace and the Nets record turns out to be immaculate, he probably won't be looking at even a second place finish. The final player I'm going to mention, because I believe this list should be held to players that I think could truly end up winning it, is Damian Lillard. First off, fans gave up on the Blazers in the first week of the season, citing their defense as an overwhelming issue.
Do you know what's funny? Damian Lillard is projected to be a top 3 MVP candidate right now. It's what? LeBron, Embiid, LeBron, and Damian. Yet Dame Lillard isn't even an all-star starter. What the fuck's going on there then?
And then, multiple players on the roster saw injuries, including his co-star CJ McCollum, who is having a career year. The Blazers currently sit at 17-10, and since the injury have gone 9-4. Lillard, meanwhile, boasts averages of 29 points, 7 assists, 38% from 3 with a 52% effective field goal percentage. Once again, he's keeping a Blazers team afloat that's been slated to sink for quite some time now. Of course, he's not playing the best basketball on this list, and he's also likely going to have the Blazers around a 4 or 5 seed at best when it's all said and done. In a race with so many valuable candidates, I doubt it's going to cut it, but he absolutely deserves more recognition in this race than he's getting, as the Blazers regularly do better than they're expected to on his behalf. So all in all, he's got the production and even the narrative, but at this specific point, I don't think it's stronger than some of the other candidates have. That is, however, where this list will end. Giannis nor the Bucks are on the correct pace to convince voters he deserves 3 straight, and while the Utah Jazz are having a record year, Donovan Mitchell's individual play and circumstance is not on the level of some of the top candidates. Although I do imagine that based on Utah's record alone, he'll be getting more looks as the year progresses.
The problem that I have with Donovan Mitchell is that his system is much more team-based. If you take Donovan Mitchell out of the Utah Jazz, which they did for what, that little winning streak that they had, I think that was almost like a 12-game winning streak they went on. But Donovan Mitchell was out, and Rudy Gobert just took over. And they still won, they kept that streak going. So I think the Utah Jazz just have a much better team-orientated basketball. So if you take that one piece out, the way that I say, most valuable player, if you take that piece out, the team isn't the same. Whereas if you take Donovan Mitchell out of the Utah Jazz, the team stays the same, which is why I have Quinn Snyder in my Coach of the Year conversation. Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the video, leave down in the comments, leave who you think's winning every single award. Very interested to know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's going to do it. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. And I appreciate everyone tuning in. So catch you in the next video, boys. Peace!